Hey guys, and welcome to this session of Workflow Wednesdays. Last week we had a request to build a Workflow Wednesday session where we would walk around changes in employee ratios. So let's take a look at it. So let's say you have an employee, but you need to make a change in the employee ratio that they're working for you as an employee. So they might be working 100%, but they need to change it down to 50% for whatever reason. Now, to get things started, we've built this simple journey where you add a traveler to the journey. And once they've been added, the first thing that will happen is that their supervisor is going to get this form. And the form is simply going to say, okay, when would you like to make the changes? At what date? Let's just say the beginning of the year 2024. What's the current ratio of this employee? And what's the change that you want to make sure happens? And so they're moving from a 100% position to a 50% position. Now again, this could be done very differently depending on what kind of employer you are. But just for simplicity reasons, this is an example of a form that you could use. You can take a look at how the forms would look like on different devices, but this is basically something that, in this case, the supervisor would need to fill out. It could also be structured in a way where the employee would have a link to this form on an intro web, and they could simply request this, which would trigger the journey a little bit differently. But for this particular journey, it's just going to start with a form like this. Now, when the request is gotten in, the supervisor will get this form link sent via email and a text message. So it's just going to say, this company name is sent to a form. It's going to say, dear supervisor name, hope you find this message well. A link to the form itself. And if the supervisor clicks the link, then they're going to see this form. They can fill it out, and that's how the journey progresses. What's the next step? Well, next step is to create an actual document. So we uploaded a document into 50 Skills Journeys, and the document looks something like this. It could be any Word document really, but how it's structured it is it has a few tokens built into it. So a token is what we call when you have like these two curly bracers in the beginning and on the end. And it means that if you've collected this information snippet anywhere in the journey, when you added a person to the journey, when you had a form sent out, you can actually replace this data snippet with that information. So this is just an example of a document, obviously, but some employers, they require a document like this to be e-signed, potentially by both parties if there's a major change, and then they want to store that document. So for the purpose of this journey, we actually just created this document, and it's just a simple agreement between the company and the employee that there's a change in the current employee ratio to a new requested ratio. And I can go a little bit into how you upload documents into Journeys as well, but just to kind of show you how this works, the form is sent out, documents get created, and all the fields that you saw in this document here, they're now going to get replaced by the tokens that you add to each place. So company name, you can see here, where's the company name? It's here, employer company name. We want to replace that with the actual name of the company. So you can just click the plus icon, and you can select company, and you can select the company name itself here. And so now when you do that, you're actually, here on the right side. Now when you do that, you're actually going to take the real name of the company that has this journey, and you're going to replace this part with that name. And you can do that with all the different fields. The date of request here in the document above, the current employee ratio, the new employee ratio. And the reason you can map it is because in the form that you sent out, you're asking what is the current employee ratio? What is the new employee ratio that the employee is moving, new requested employee ratio that we're making the change on? And you can of course have a lot more information here. You could have IDs of the employee or the supervisor or any type of other info you'd want. But for demonstration purposes, you can kind of see how this works. You can also, and this is a little bit advanced here, but sometimes when you create documents like these, you really want them to have a specific name. And in this case, and this is pretty common, you have maybe, once this document's been created, you want it to have a name that kind of resonates. So something like the date name and text, change in employee ratio, name of the company, and then the traveler name. So a document like this might be the requested date of change, and then this particular naming convention for wherever it's stored. Okay, send the form, the documents get created, and then you can send the document for e-signing. Now, here you can add any type of integration you want. In the case of this demo, we're using GetAccept, which is an e-signing tool. You could also use DocuSign, Tactical, or whatever e-signing tool you prefer. And once you've added the e-signing tool itself, you do the same thing with the tokens. You start to map them to each field. So the person who's going to sign this are two different individuals. It's what we call the traveler, the person going through the journey. So we need their name, first name and last name, then in their email to be able to sign it. There's no need to put anything in role here for this particular e-signing tool. And it's also going to be their supervisor, first name, last name, and their email. You could, again, add whatever tokens make sense for you here. So maybe it's not the supervisor of the person that signs this. Maybe it's the budget holder, the CFO, or department leader, whatever it might be. But you could start to map. Whenever there's some orgs, whenever there's a change like this that happens, somebody needs to not just get an email to approve it, but actually a document to get created and a person with authority to sign it alongside the employee themselves. But basically, these three first actions, they're the ones that make up this journey. There's an employee that comes to the supervisor and requests to have some changes. They get added to this journey. A form gets filled out, triggering the request itself. The document gets created, gets sent to e-signing, and once it's been e-signed, a confirmation email gets sent out. And here you can have a confirmation sent to anywhere. For this particular purpose, I just hard-coded payroll at 50skills.com. But of course, this could be, any email or whatever makes sense for you to put in here. And you're just notifying payroll. Hey, this person just got these changes approved. This is the current ratio. This is the new one. Maybe they would need to get the attached document sent. Maybe they would need to. You can do that. You can field map and send them the actual the document that was created by clicking here, or you can just have an email sent as a notification. So it's just a super simple funnel. And I forgot to mention that here in the e-signing part, this is the only action that we decided not to trigger automatically, but to have it assigned, because sometimes you want a supervisor to manually go over if everything's put up the right way and trigger this. But you could, of course, have this happen automatically as well if you completely don't need anyone to review what's going on. So there's all sorts of ways of configuring it. But that's pretty much everything that we put in the journey here. And so I'm just going to show you what happens when you add an individual to this journey. So now I'm just going to add a traveler to the journey itself here. And I can notice that we already have one ready for this particular demo. They're asking me to add the supervisor, add to journey. And then there's two ways of starting the journey. I can either click the down arrow here and click the start button. I can have it automatically trigger. So whenever you add a person to a journey, it will start. Or you can simply click the overview of the journey of this particular traveler going through it. Click the start button down here. And now you can see the journey kick off for them. So the first thing that's going to happen is that it's going to send them a form via email and text message. And as you can see now, this was sent out to this particular email. You can see exactly what was worded, the link for approval, those sorts of things. If you open up the link itself, you'll see that you can fill it out with whatever info you want. And let's just put in the 100%, 50% as an example here. Now this has been received, and now you can just see what happens. You don't have to refresh the page or anything. Once the form was filled out, which we just did, it now automatically went ahead and created the document. So as I showed you before, you could see how the document looked like with everything previewed with just empty tokens. But now that the tokens have been filled out, you can actually see how it would look like. As you can see here, the document's been created. All the empty tokens have now been filled out with information. I can already see that I made a small mistake here. I forgot to put a small space in front of the company name. And for this, the company name of the demo account is 50 Demo, so that's why it's replaced with that. So basically the whole document's been created here just the way we wanted it to be. I can also notice now that the next step is blue in color. And that's because instead of automatically triggering, this has been assigned to Christian to basically send it to e-signing. So it requires them to basically trigger this button here and send it to the e-signing button itself. Now, once the document's been e-signed, it's going to turn green and it's going to send the email to Payroll itself. So the whole journey has now been completed. And just before we finish, I want to show you a little bit about how the file stuff works in Journeys as well. Here on the left side, you can just click Documents, and there you can see all the documents that have been uploaded. Now, as you can see here in the document Change in Employment Ratio journey, this is where you can preview the documents that have been sent in. You can replace them if you want to make some small changes, and manage the documents. You can also put in what's called test value for preview. So all the fields that have been added in these token bracers here, with 2 braces in the front and 2 in the back, like all the fields that have that type of information, they're automatically going to populate here as fields. And you can replace them with what's called a test value for preview. And by adding something, you'll actually see that when you preview the document, you'll see all these pre-filled out with the information that you put here. So you get a feel for how it would look like if you've added everything correctly into the journeys themselves. There are many ways that you can start a journey like this. You could have an employer go in and simply add a traveler to each journey whenever you want this to trigger. But you could also have an external form where any employee is encouraged to go and fill out that form if they require any need of change in their employee ratio, and then that can trigger the next action in the process. So thank you for requesting this particular video. Hope we did a good job of explaining how you could use Journeys to solve it. Looking forward to hearing some more thoughts. Please put up suggestions in the comments, and looking forward to seeing you try it out on your own. Thank you.